where you were living. You were living in a small place. You'd ride around on a bike. What
No,
story
in
were we
Provo.
going for?
Provo.
Provo. Yeah.
Yeah, we never lived in Salt Lake.
Did I say
lived in
Salt Lake?
Provo because that was at BYU.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so Grandpa,
Get us back on course.
I think we've pretty much finished the story. Oh, we haven't got to the dance, have we?
No.
We haven't got what?
To the dance.
Oh.
Yo, well, we told about the dance.
A little
Yeah.
No, we pretty well got it.
Yeah.
They said-
Grandpa called her and asked her if he could still find tickets for the dance, and
Because these kids had come from Delta.
she found out he could, and he asked somebody else to go to the dance.
And she thought,
She thought he was asking her when he asked, "Hey, do you know if I can find tickets for this dance?"
Oh.
And so she got all dressed up for it, and the roommates are all she's waiting for him, and he's not there, and the roommates are like, "Well, we're going." They go, and they see him there with a date and without Grandma, and they freak out. And they come home and they're like, "You're not to hang out with Albert anymore. He's not." Oh, they called you Chris, didn't they?
yeah.
Because Grandma misunderstood and thought his name was Chris for the longest time.
Oh.
Well, I called him Chris because Albert just didn't fit him at the time.
Oh, is that what it was?
I don't know why.
His nick, I couldn't remember his name, so he said, "Oh, just call me Chris." So I started calling him Chris,
Oh,
and that's what I've always called him.
okay.
I finally got around to Albert after about 50 years. We've only been married 70 in July.
Mm-hmm.
That's so exciting.
Okay.
Now, Grandpa, why don't you tell us about your siblings, and then Grandma, you tell me about yours in a minute, okay? We're gonna, Grandpa, you were, so your mom and dad got married in 20 what? Or when did they get married?
19,
19, I think.
18?
In 19? Okay,
Yeah.
so 1919?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have how many siblings? Older siblings? Any?
Yeah, I have two.
Okay.
My sister Norma, who is still alive,
And she lives in
Wow.
Florida.
she's 3 years older than I am.
Okay. 3 years. So she was born in
3 years plus.
2021.
20 or 21.
Okay, somewhere there. Okay. Do you remember her birthday?
4th of July.
Yeah,
The 4th of July.
I can't forget that one.
That's easy. Okay. Okay.
And then I have a brother, or had a brother. He's dead
David.
now.
You have a brother, but you have a living brother that was.
Yeah, he was, what, about probably a year and a half older than me.
Yeah.
So he was born somewhere around 22, 23.
He was a year and a half younger than his sister.
And you were a year and a half.
He-
I was a year and a half younger
He was
than
born
him.
in April, I think.
And so that was the three of us. I was born in Arkansas. My siblings, Aunt Norma was born someplace in Texas. I can't remember the name of the town.
Okay.
My dad worked in the oil fields,
That's why.
and so he went from one place to another wherever the work was. And she was born someplace west of Houston and south, some little town down there.
Okay.
And then my brother was born in Orange County, which was near where I grew up, Vidor.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad got a job in Arkansas in the oil fields, and that's where I was born. And that's where my dad died when I was 9 months old.
Oh wow.
And my mother moved.
Because, Tell the story why he died, and then we won't have to go back to that. You're listening, right?
Oh.
So your dad died because
he had typhoid fever.
Typhoid fever.
And that was
Yeah.
very common in those days.
And
Most people died from it.
Was it sudden or was it like over a period of time?
no, it was sudden.
It was sudden. Aw.
Well, over
well,
a few months.
it was very sudden because they took wasn't it shots
yeah,
that killed him?
Shock.
they were getting shots for
Typhoid fever.
typhoid fever.
And he couldn't go in for the first shot.
He didn't get the first shot, so when he went in for the next time they were giving shots, he went in
Uh-huh.
and they gave him the second shot first,
Oh.
And it gave him the typhoid fever.
and it gave him typhoid fever,
Oh wow.
and he was in the hospital, what, about 3 months, 2 or 3 months,
In Arkansas.
in Arkansas, and he died there.
Oh.
I was 9 months old when he died. And so after he died, or when he died, my mother took his body back to where she was raised in southeast Texas,
Oh.
a
A
little
place we call
community
Williamson
called
Settlement.
Williamson Settlement, which was a family. That gets into another story completely. My great-great-grandfather was baptized when he was 100 years old
Whew. Wow.
and died shortly after
6
that.
months later.
William Williamson.
William Williamson.
Oh.
Yeah. But from him, he had 15 children.
Wow.
He and his wife, of course. And the children, he was baptized when he was 100 years old. But before that, the missionaries had got lost from their, you have to understand Southeast Texas to understand why they would get lost.
Yeah.
Because the trees are so thick and the brush and everything. And back in those days, they walked.
Okay. We walked everywhere now.
The missionaries walked.
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of missionaries do.
But you had an island, so you drop off into the ocean.
True.
Yeah, but anyway, where am I going?
They lived out in the thicket.
They got lost.
The missionaries got lost,
The missionaries got lost,
headed for Orange County.
heading for someplace north of where they ended up, where my great-great-grandfather lived.
Okay.
So anyway, they came, they found this house, they came, he invited them in, and
They stayed all night with him.
they stayed a few days there and talked about the church. And he had, before that, had met a soldier who had been in the army, in the group of the army that went to Utah to get after the members of the church because the government didn't like the church.
They were a bunch of idiots.
Yeah,
They heard that the Mormons were making an army,
yeah.
which I wouldn't blame them after being driven out of so many places. I would have made an army and gone and wiped the floor.
Anyway, when he was discharged, he was on his way home, and he got lost down there like the missionaries did. And he found this house, and my grandfather, I'll just call him grandfather, my great-great-great-grandfather,
That's a lot to say.
took him in, which was the normal thing that people would do in those days. and fed him and housed him and so
Worked him.
forth.
He
Right.
worked for, helped around the place.
Yeah, he helped around a little, and he didn't stay for a long period of time, but while he was there, he told about what he knew about the Mormons and thought they were a wonderful people. And so that's his first exposure to the church. And then when the missionaries got lost and came there, he already had been acquainted because of this discharged soldier that had come. And
Do you
told
recall
him-
his name?
No, I can't recall
Okay.
his name.
Okay.
Anyway, so he was receptive to the gospel,
Mhm.
and anyway, he accepted it and was baptized. And they had 15 children, and all of them were baptized.
Eventually, not right away.
No, not right away,
Eventually.
but eventually.
We're coming.
It's about time. There's 2 kids here that starved to death.
Starving to death. Well,
Wow.
we'll get 'em.
And then there's 2 more old fogies that they don't know when they're hungry and when they're not.
They're just
But
kind
they're
of.
hungry.
No, they just eat when there's food placed before them.